So I'm just going to fold this here, get a nice crease. Okay. All right. And then I'm gonna put this right here. Okay, right at the hip. We've already checked our hip line to get it right where we want it. Okay, and we don't need to add any length right there. So we're going straight up. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do, now this is where we have to look at balancing, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I put this on the hip line, but it may go up or down a little bit to make sure I get this side seam right where I want it, okay? So that's where you stand there and try and get this balance to where it looks like it's coming straight down. Okay, and that looks, I think that looks good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin this and I'll show you guys. I'm just gonna pin that there. Does that look straight to you guys? Does that line look like it's coming down straight?
Yeah.
Good, very good. Okay, so take a few minutes. Now, the other thing is, see how I've got ease right here? Sometimes that's can be buggy, but we're just, there it is. There's the ease, we need it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come up here and I'm going to put this guideline at the waist. Okay, and I'm gonna smooth it up. It could easily change, but that's a good start, okay? All right, now I've got this to work with, okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of slashing.
Are
Yes.
supposed to add ease at the hip line?
Yes, add your ease right here.
Is it just an eighth of an inch?
From here to here, it's half an inch.
Half an inch. That's
Yeah, yeah. You knew that. Okay, so let me grab the scissors. Okay, we've got to do some slashing because we can't really do much. So, but be careful, you don't want to go down too far. Okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, to finish fitting this for a fitted skirt, we have got to have 2 darts and a little bit of ease at the waist, okay? So from what you know from your flat pattern and from your drafting, how big are these darts that they should be? They're small, they're smaller, aren't they? So about how much? You remember on the drafting, we went over a little ways and then added in. Yeah, so they're like half an inch depth. So we had like an inch and then we did like an inch and a half, inch and a quarter, then an inch. So to get you started, just pinch your at the waist and measure it to see how much you have to work with. So I have like maybe 5/8. So that's like an inch and a quarter. The first thing you want to do is come over to your, so if you take that much and you say, okay, I've got an inch and a quarter, that means like 3/4, not even 3/4 on each dart. So we may end up pulling some of this over to get it to fit right. Like I've taken out 3/4 of an inch here. We may not end up, we may end up pulling a little bit more into the dart area. But that gives us an idea of what we need. So what I'm gonna do is first come over to the princess seam and I'm going to put in a dart and I'll probably just do like a 5/8 dart. Okay, so there's the first one. And remember your darts, you pin them to itself, right? We don't pin the darts to the dress form. Okay, then where should I put my other dart? What do you remember from your drafting? How far over did we go? Typically, darts are placed in thirds, 1, 2, 3. But that's very general. It's almost more like from the hip area, it's 1, 2, 3. But up here, it gets, we want the 2 darts to be closer together so that when we look at this skirt, they look like one unit. It's like 2 darts closer together so that they look like they're kind of one. Because if I start putting this dart way over here and this one here, then you start seeing the individual parts more than you do the actual, like, oh yeah, 2 darts together. So this is much more flattering. Okay, all right. Okay, and then the other thing is, if you'll notice, when we did our darts here, the fold of the dart was not parallel to center front. In other words, they were not balanced. Okay, the fold line. So down here, I mean, we use the word balance in a lot of different ways. But down here, if you look on this side, this princess seam is we actually balance the fold line inside the dart. We balance that to center front and keep it straight grain. So we keep the darts here on straight grain. On here we don't, up on the bust area. Okay, so I'm gonna go over about like an inch. Do you remember your drafting? How far over did we go? Maybe 1.25 inches, something like that. 1.5 inches. I think I'll go over about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to put in my next dart. Okay. And we want it to be the same size. So my darts are only going to end up being about 5/8 or 3/4. So I'm thinking these are a little bit smaller. Okay, now this looks really good. But as I take this dart, and then about how far down do you think these darts went?
2.5 inches.
About 2.5 inches? Okay, so that's like, okay, so that means this dart would end about right here. Okay, so here's this dart, and it's following the princess seam pretty good. Okay, so when you look at this dart, it wants to end, where would you say, like about right here? Where it kind of stops. So if I go down, it wants to end about right here. And how long is that? That is about 1, 2, 3. That's about 3 inches. If I go down 2.5, then it might go better. I think the 1's okay. Or the 1.5. 2.5. I'm starting at 1 on this tape measure because it's pretty bad. So if I go, yeah, so it wants to end up about right here. Okay. This one is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make this a little smaller. Now, what happens when your dart is not pointing to where you want it to, straight down? Then it means, if it starts pointing off to some direction, means that the dart legs are not the same. Okay, a couple other things to remember. I need to be able to pitch out 1/8 inch, which is double, which is 1/4. And guess what? I'm not getting that. This looks good. This is not pulling, but I'm not getting my 1/8. So I'm actually going to move the side seams over a little bit to where I can get the ease I need. Okay. All right, so there's my ease at the waist. How much ease should I have at the high hip? Usually you want 1 inch all the way around, so I want to have at least 1/4 inch through here. And I think I'm fine. I think I'm getting that through here, this part. And also, are my darts. The other thing is, at the end of your darts, they should start to flatten out. If your darts are too far away from the body at the end of the dart, then you've got too big of a dart. Okay? So, And this one's a little bit crooked. So I'm going to repin that a little bit. And that kind of goes like that. Okay, now why do we have two short darts here? Because what are these darts for? What are they going over? Your stomach, your abdomen. And your abdomen normally, unless you're a college student, normally kind of pokes out a little bit. So these darts actually go better too when they're curved, when they kind of curve outward a little bit. Okay, and then I've got my ease, and this looks, so I actually think that's done. That was too easy. I needed something harder. No. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and slash this a little bit more just to see if I can, if it's, yeah, I think we're good actually. Okay, so if we like it, let's go ahead and mark it. Okay, and I'm going to mark the middle. Okay. And remember the little L that we do. Okay, do you guys remember how to do that? Except that I need to find the middle of the tape. That should have been up here somewhere. This tape is kind of wide, so I gotta. Okay, and then when I do the side seam, I go and mark the other side, remember, of that raised side seam. Okay, and do I need to go below the hip? No, it's a straight line. And do I need to mark the hem? No, it's parallel to the floor already. Okay, we're done. This part. Let's take it off. I'm gonna put a little mark here where the darts end, knowing that could easily change because I'm going to balance them with the center front grain and with the grain. Okay, so here's this. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw our lines in. Look at this. This looks really straight, doesn't it? And she's curved, but that's how it looked. So now we can do this part here. And then this was down a little too far, so I'm gonna bring that up. And then the same with this one. There. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I need to find the middle of this dart. So this dart's about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna mark the middle, and that is 3 5/8 from the center front. So I'm gonna go down here, and look, oh, look, that dot is right where I need it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. Now, remember we decided that there's a straight dart. Because this dress form has a little bit of a tummy, I could curve that in, and it would fit better. Let me mark them both, and then I'll come back and curve those. So let's find the middle of this one. And measure. That one is 5 3/4. And wow, I was right on with my dots. Okay, and then this goes here, and this can come down like that. So there's a little bit of a curve there. Okay, so to make my darts a little more curved, oh, and we do need to mark Well, this will work. Basically about halfway through, I want to bring this dart in a little bit like that. So I'm just gonna kind of redraw these darts so that they're curved. Okay. So if I go in here, so I keep it at the same place where I started, I kind of curve in, and I'll have curved darts that will go over the body bulge there.